Khorne here, and today I will be talking about my impressions on the current state of Warhammer 3, how it has progressed in recent times, and where I think it is probably headed. Unfortunately, my impressions are fairly grim at the moment, so if you're someone who is currently enjoying the game, then I would suggest you might want to skip this one, as to not have me spoil your enjoyment. But I still felt like making this video as I myself am fairly frustrated with the current state of the game. So why am I making this video? Well, put simply, it is mostly due to the release of the new DLC, The Tides of Torment. And while they are a fairly mediocre DLC with nothing particularly interesting about it, it isn't by itself the reason why I'm frustrated, but rather the way it has been developed and integrated into the game, as unfortunately it just proves to me that I have been right about everything I've been saying and have feared is to come from CA. Now, what actually has me so frustrated? Well, the DLC has a large portion of its content taken from community mods, content such as mechanics, units, and similar things. This by itself, I mostly have no issues with. If a company wishes to use shortcuts and cut costs, and the modders agree to it, I don't really mind it happening so long as the end product is good. Unfortunately, in this case, the end product wasn't good. Like I said, it was mediocre. And again, mediocre DLCs do happen. So, not really much I want to complain about there. But what does make me frustrated is how long it took them. A full year to actually make the DLC, even with all of the shortcuts they took to make it. The end result being just as buggy, if not even more so than DLCs are usually on release, and all this while keeping the price of the DLC exactly the same. You would expect that with the advantage of using existing content, they would have made the DLC faster, if not higher quality, or have at least made it cheaper. But instead, it took them longer to make, is even more untested than usual, is of lower quality, and it does actually feel like you're playing a mod and not a paid-for DLC. This to me is extremely discouraging, as it just goes to show that CA has completely given up on total Warhammer 3, and all they really want to do now is just make as much easy content as they can, sell it while the game is still relevant, and move on. Now, I could go over my findings and those from my community of bugs in the DLC, showcasing just how unpolished it really is. But that is nothing new with CA, and really, it's to be expected at this point that you can only ever play half the game, while the other half is locked behind a great wall of bugs. I mean, honestly, a good Total War player at this point isn't even someone who can play the game well, but someone who can navigate all of the different bugs and bad interactions in it. So instead, I will just go over some recent events and the most recent hotfix patch to explain my frustrations further. First off, I'm just gonna go back to the patch where they updated the Lizardmen and the Tomb Kings, and in the process broke the Lizardmen AI. You all remember that one, where the Lizard AI just refused to play the game. You see, it's my belief that the only reason that AI bug ever got fixed was because Legend of Total War made a video about it, exposing it to a wider audience, which got more people to take notice and actually leave a negative review. If Legend hadn't showcased it, and people didn't leave a negative review, I believe that the Lizardman AI would still be in a bugged state, regardless of what CA said to the contrary. And this is for one simple reason, being that the bug was already in the game for years. It had only ever affected the Beastmen though, in much the same way, and even though people did report and comment on it, it never got fixed because CA never got backlash for it. Again, why am I talking about this? It is simply to say that the game is riddled with bugs that affect the campaign in a massive way, whether it be buggy AI, faction mechanics not working, or anything in between. But none of them are getting fixed, and they're instead made worse with every new patch, until the community gets so fed up that we literally have to review bomb the game to have anything get fixed. And then when they do fix it, they only fix the issue that caused the outrage with a band-aid solution and not an actual fix, while the rest of the 999,000 bugs get left into the game. But for whatever reason, this is always enough for a portion of the community to say good job CA and start sucking them off like there is no tomorrow, turning that once negative review back into a positive one, making it so that CA can continue to do this over and over again. And even with this, I have learned that there is no helping it. I, myself, am not influential enough to shine a light on these issues, and even when I try to do, I usually get backlash in the form of people saying how I need to shut up, or CA might stop developing the game altogether. So another big reason why I'm making this video is, simply put, the fact that I have been proven right, again, with my statement that CA doesn't even play their own game. And when it comes to implementing meaningful changes, they listen to people who don't play it either. You see, there are two things that really showcase this in the most recent patch of 7.0.3. One of them being this line right here. Fix the cost for replacing lords with previously wounded legendary lords not showing. So I don't know how well versed you are in playing this game, but when you recruit a lord, you pay a certain amount of treasury to recruit him, and then you never have to pay for him again. Seems simple enough. A one-time purchase. A concept that is completely foreign to CA, which might be the reason why they struggled with this one. But anyways, you don't have to pay for a lord again after you recruit them the first time. This is especially true for legendary lords, who you don't have to recruit in the first place, instead get them for free at the beginning of a campaign or when you confederate them. But apparently there is a bug in the game where recruiting a lord that has a mount option available actually does cost you treasury to recruit it. You can see in this example here that a certain amount of funds gets subtracted from my treasury when I re-recruited Elsbeth on her dragon. If the character doesn't have a mount, like in this example, then it doesn't cost you treasury to re-recruit him into an army. The geniuses at CA, believing that legendary lords should cost you to recruit again, decided to fix the game working incorrectly by making it so a bug is actually a feature. And in the process, they made it so that the game says you have to pay again for re-recruiting every single one of your lords, no matter if they're legendary or generic, when in reality, you actually do not. If this doesn't go to show you how much bugception is happening in the game, and how CA themselves don't even know what is and isn't a bug, then I really don't know what will. And the second thing that infuriated me is this. Fixed issue where forces garrisoned in port settlements couldn't retreat after a battle was initiated. Now, I don't know why this was ever an issue. I don't know why the immersion enthusiasts make a big deal out of it, and I don't know how they don't understand that the function works. But this is something that has been changed 5 times now, in no way that helps the game. The first time they changed it, it resulted in another bug that is just as bad as the Lizard AI one, where certain factions, the most notable example being Grom the Paunch, get stuck in an infinite attack loop when trying to fight their first enemy. You see, they attack a port settlement, from which an enemy runs away, the AI bugs out and isn't able to attack the settlement again. So what they do is just end the turn. Rinse and repeat for who knows how many turns, until some other random event finally lets them break out of this loop. Now, with this new change, they have made it so that the settlement garrison, as in units inside of every settlement, that you can't use or have to pay upkeep for, and always get wiped out after an attacker wins against them, well, now they can run away from a battle when you're attacking a port settlement. Meaning that they never die if you fight battles manually, which leads to situations where you can infinitely attack a single settlement so long as you leave units alive in it. This new bug isn't really that big of a deal. It can cause you to lose experience, but aside from that, it won't affect your campaigns too much. What it does do is it just goes to show you how they keep breaking the game, trying to appease a certain subsection of the community. They just keep piling bugs upon bugs upon bugs, trying to fix something that isn't broken. And for what? People that don't even play the game or know how the game works? This time last year, I was actually having a decent amount of fun with the game, and looking forward to upcoming content. Omens of Destruction wasn't an amazing DLC either, and it definitely did ruin the greenskins. But it added more things into the game and changed the way the game played for the better. AI changes that followed were also fairly good and did make the game more fun to play. But after the Kislev and the item update, I feel as though the game has been getting progressively worse with every new patch. And for the last 8 months, we haven't really seen any good changes come to the game, with the exception of the Tomb King update. Tides of Torment were a massive disappointment, as I was expecting something on par with Thrones of Decay, given how much we were getting in the meantime and how long it took them to develop it. But instead, we got just a less polished copy-paste of community mods, with the following patches breaking the game further and further. You also have to realize that the patch 7.0.3 had a beta, where people could see all of these issues before the patch went live. And people probably did see them and did report them to CA. But CA doesn't care one bit and released the patch anyways. This just leads me to ask, why do we even have beta patches at all? Since it obviously isn't to make the actual release a higher quality one. At this point, I honestly think it is just over for the game. Tides of Torment have proved to me that CA has stopped caring about Warhammer 3 content, and the aftermath has shown me that they never had any intention of fixing the game in the first place, or are even capable of doing so, as at this point they don't even know what is a bug and what is an intended mechanic. The upcoming DLC, Lords of the End Time, are more than likely just going to be more of the same as Tides of Torment. And they will be doing this all while introducing numerous bugs into the game that will never get fixed and will continue to ruin your experience, just because some Redditor finds the thought of AI running away from you to be a cool idea. I never reviewed Tides of Torment, and if you want my opinion, I would just skip it for the most part, and instead get its mod equivalent, as they will probably be more polished than what CA has just released. This is my outlook on the game currently, and I know it is a fairly gloomy one, but I haven't seen much reason to believe otherwise. I really do hope that I'm wrong in this, and that the upcoming DLC will end things on a high note, as I still enjoy the game, faults and all, but currently with the end approaching and CA showing that they have basically resigned the game to its fate, I am having a hard time seeing a more positive outlook. Anyways, I am curious to hear how you guys feel about it, the DLC, the current state of the game, anything in between, so do leave a comment. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.
Khorne fights as one.